On the left, behind the trees, Southwark Cathedral, one of London's oldest places of worship. Baptised in there many years ago now was a young boy called John Harvard. Now, he was the son of a local trader. John Harvard grew up, emigrated to America, where he helped found the Harvard University of Massachusetts. Folks, a good time to be out on the River Thames today. It's high tide. For the last 5 hours, the tide here has been flooding into London. Around 4 o'clock, it will be high water. And in 5 hours today, the tide here has come up around 5 metres. At 4, did I say 5 metres? 7 metres, sorry, 7 metres. It'll come up 7 metres. At 4 o'clock, the tide will turn and it will ebb out to sea for 7 hours until reaching the low water mark, at which point the tide turns, floods into London all over. As we clear this bridge, look directly to the left. There's a very nice riverside pub. You see the Anchor Tavern there with the red window frames. We've had a pub on this site now for over 400 years. The original was frequented by Dr. Johnson, Samuel Pepys, Charles Dickens and William Shakespeare. Now folks, the area off to our left is known as the South Bank, and it's a nice place to walk. You can actually walk pretty much all the way along the river from where we've just left down the Tower Bridge, all the way up to where we're heading, up to Westminster and the London. It takes about an hour to get from one end to the other, but as you walk along, there's lots of attractions, street performance, bars and restaurants, some nice riverside places. Ahead of us on the left, you can see a white circular structure with a thatched roof, a replica of William Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. An exact replica built the same way the original theatre was built all those years ago. It's the only building in London allowed a thatched roof since the Great Fire of London of 1666. They reenact Shakespeare's plays inside the building, and the last time we looked, the cheapest ticket in there was around £6, which is great value for money. A bit of live entertainment in London for just £6. The original Globe Theatre burned down. Not during the Great Fire, because that was on the right side of the river. The original Globe Theatre burned down during the performance of Henry VIII. Now, during the performance, they required the sound effect of a cannon. So, very cleverly, they used a cannon. The cannon was fired and burned the theatre down. And that is what happened to the original building. The building on the left with a tall chimney, that's an old power station. Today, it's the Tate Modern Art Gallery. It's free to enter the Tate Modern, so that's worth a visit. The bridge we're going to pass beneath now is the Millennium, otherwise known as the Wibbling Wobbly. Opened by the Queen on a Saturday morning, closed the very same afternoon by the police for being unsafe. It used to sway from side to side. People walking across were falling over. They were hanging on for dear life. They had to close the bridge, re-stabilise it. It was reopened again. It's now perfectly safe. Today, it links the South Bank on our left to St Paul's Cathedral over on the. And looking up to the right, you see the dome and the cross of St Christopher. Completed in the year 1710, so now over 300 years old. And above the Great Dome there is a viewing platform. The views up there, folks, are almost as good as the views from the London. The only problem, there's over 500 steps to reach that viewing platform. There's no lift. So it is hard work getting up to the top. Worth it once you're up there. Some great views across London. Now, Monday to Saturday, you'll pay around £20 to go inside St Paul's. You go on a Sunday morning, it's absolutely free to enter. And you get to experience the service they provide on a Sunday morning. So go on a Sunday morning. Buried in the crypt of St Paul's Cathedral are some of our national heroes. And these include the Iron Duke, the Duke of Wellington, Lord Nelson, and of course the architect himself, Sir Christopher. Probably the finest building anywhere in the city. Okay, we're going to pass up through the Blackfriars bridges now. This first one, a railway bridge, actually starred in one of the Mission Impossible movies a few years ago. know, Tom Cruise runs across the roof of this railway bridge and jumps onto some buildings over there on the right. When he'd done this stunt, he actually broke his ankle and he stopped filming for around 3 months. The next bridge here is the Blackfriars Road Bridge. This was opened back in 1869, and it marks roughly the halfway point up to Westminster. How is the journey going so far? Are we enjoying it up to this point? One question. This is the east side of the river, that's the south side, so Plaistow is sort of back in that direction. Look to the right now, folks. You can see an impressive semicircular building, and that's Unilever House. That's the headquarters for Unilever, the massive Anglo-Dutch manufacturers. Right next door, a building with a green roof and a black pinnacle on top. This is the old City of London School, where many famous dignitaries were taught in London. And if you look in between the arched windows of that building, there are 4 statues. From left to right, John Milton, William Shakespeare, Sir Francis Bacon, and me. Just on the end. A lot of people think the one on the end is Sir Isaac Newton, but it's not. He just looks like me. As I mentioned, folks, the tide, almost high water, come up around 7 meters today. Look over to the river wall on the right. Look, you can see green lions' heads with rings in the mouth. Occasionally, the tide will come up even higher, covering the rings in the mouth and almost covering the lions' heads. As you can see, that's almost lapping over the river wall. And this is a rise of around 8 meters, a very high spring tide. Now, years ago, folks, before we had the Thames flood barrier or flood indications, these lions' heads were used as a kind of flood warning. It was said if the water was to reach the rings in the lion's mouth, London could be in fear of flooding. The local police, if they were to see this, were to issue a flood warning to evacuate local buildings and local underground stations. And to remember this impending danger, they invented a few poems. The first of which went, if the lions are drinking, London is possibly sinking. If it reaches the main, we'll go down the train. And if the lions' heads are completely ducked, London is well and truly flooded. Flooded. Doesn't quite have the same ring to it, that last one, but not all poems have to write. See those 2 silver dragons on the roadway there, either side of the road? These are placed on every major approach road into the City of London, and they're there to ward off all evil spirits. The white ship on the right is the Wellington, which once belonged to the New Zealand Navy. Today it's a floating livery hall for the Honourable Company of Master Mariners. Basically a drinking club for old sea captains who like to drop a rum. And you need to have served at least 10 years as a captain out at sea to be a member of that club. A little further along on the right here, folks, there's a little black and white yacht. It's got the black canopy on the top. It's called the St. Catherine. Believe it or not, this used to be the royal barge. Whenever the Queen or royal family would travel on the Thames, this was the yacht that they used to use. As you can see, it's not used anymore. It's sort of rotting away there, decaying. But that's okay, because today, when King Charles and Prince William travel on the Thames, they use a much more modern vessel, a little rowing boat called the Royal Nore, which is gold-plated. It's an absolutely beautiful row. They saved that one for Harry and Meghan.
Me.
Next on the right, behind the trees, the building with a green dome on top is Somerset House. If you look to the front of the building, well, you can't see it at the moment, once we pass these barges, at the front of the building, beneath the green dome, there's an archway at the front of the building. And years ago, the river flowed into this building through this arch. Over the years, we've built up the river wall, we've reclaimed the land. And behind the wall on the right, there's a sewage system which runs along the river. Before this was built, The Thames was London's sewer, basically. Toilets and waste would flush straight into the river. So a very clever man, an engineer called Joseph Bazalgette, back in the Victorian era, he built this sewage system to clean up the river and to clean up the city. Waterloo Bridge, just ahead of us now, is known as the Ladies' Bridge in London. This is because it was built by ladies during the Second World War, when a lot of men were away. The ladies built the longest road bridge that we have in London. It was also the only bridge built in London that was built on time and under budget. And during a war, a pretty impressive feat. Also built using a very expensive self-cleansing Portland stone. It means every time it rains in London, the face of the bridge gets a good cleaning. If you look back to the underside, you can see the difference, how dirty it is underneath, and that's where the rain doesn't reach. Buckingham Palace and St Paul's Cathedral are just two buildings in London which are faced with this self-cleansing Portland stone. Coming up on the right, along the River Wall, the oldest thing we'll see on our trip today, Cleopatra's Needle, the stone obelisk, over 3,500 years old, and presented to the British government by a very thankful Egyptian government to commemorate our defeat of the French at the Battle of the River Nile. There is a twin to this column, ladies and gents, and that stands in Central Park, New York. Over to the left, this is all still part of the South Bank, that very nice walk along the river, folks. You can see the Royal Festival Hall over there as well. That's a concert hall, one of the finest concert halls in the world. It was opened in 1951, and since then, some of the most famous artists in the world have performed inside the building. Frank Sinatra, Shirley Bassey, Tom Jones, David Bowie, Michael Jackson, Amy Winehouse, to name just a few. Now folks, the last bridge we're going to pass beneath on our journey today is the Charing Cross Railway. Charing Cross Station is the building on the right, designed to resemble a train emerging from a tunnel. But if anything, I think it looks like one of those old jukeboxes, one of the old Burlington jukeboxes. As we pass through here, wave to the people walking across, keeps them happy, keeps their hands busy, stops them throwing things. We're not saying here there's another bridge coming up. Keep waving, keep smiling. It should be okay. Most people wave, most people smile. A lot of the kids like to spin. As we clear the bridge, off to the left, the London Eye. London's most visited tourist attraction. Opened in the year 2000, and in that time, it's carried over 100 million passengers. Holds 32 pods, each pod carries 25 people, and it takes about half an hour to complete a full circle. On a clear day from the very top, 25 miles you'll see in every direction. And we estimate, we've done a few calculations, we estimate each time it completes a full circle, it earns Merlin around £10,500. One complete circle. And that works out to about £250,000 in one day. On a very good day. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a lot of money. In fact, it's making so much money. Last year, they was actually thinking of changing its name from the London Eye to the Wheel of Fortune. But it never materialised for some reason. I don't know. The large building behind the Eye, that's County Hall, today houses the Marriott Hotel. In the lower levels of the building, you'll find a massive amusement arcade, the London Sea Life Aquarium, which is one of the largest indoor aquariums in Europe. You've also got the London Dungeons and Shrek's Adventure over there as well. So there's hours of entertainment over there at County Hall. Folks, we've saved the best till last. Look ahead of us now and to the right. A fantastic shot. You've got the Houses of Parliament, the Palace of Westminster, the seat to our British London. And in my opinion, the most beautiful building on the banks of the River Thames. It's a shame about the people that weren't inside it. But what can you do? Put your hand up if you can see Big Ben.
Right there.
Well, that was a bit of a trick question, because Big Ben is the bell inside. The tower today is the Elizabeth Tower. It used to be the St. Stephen's Tower, renamed the Elizabeth Tower back in 2012 to commemorate Queen Elizabeth's diamond jubilee. Big Ben is just a bell inside, but everyone around the world, including myself, calls the clock tower Big Ben. It's incorrect. We get the name Big Ben. It originates from a man who was called Sir Benjamin Hall. He was the Minister of Works inside the building at the time the bell was hung. Sir Benjamin Hall was just 5 foot tall, 4 foot round, a very loud man apparently. They say he resembled a bell pretty well, hence the name Big Ben. They did want to name the bell after his shorter, fatter brother Richard, but they didn't think calling the bell Big Rich would have been quite appropriate for Zion. The larger tower towards the end of the building, flying the flag, that's the Victoria Tower. That was named after Queen Victoria when she opened the building back in the 1850s. And folks, if you look back now to the clock tower, just look to the right of it, you can see a white castle back there. That's Westminster Abbey. It was in there almost 1,000 years ago, 1066 on Christmas Day. William the Conqueror was crowned King of England.